Hi, so in today's video I want to talk about rational decision making within organisations, and in particularly the tension between employees taking rational decisions and doing the right thing. And the example that has brought this to mind has been the recent reservation of Sajid Javid, the Chancellor of the Exchequer here in the UK. So Last week there was a reshuffle of the UK government's cabinet, and the Prime Minister's condition for Sajid Javid keeping his job as Chancellor of the Exchequer was that he had to sack all of his advisors and just use the Prime Minister's own advisory team. So I guess the thinking behind this was to run a very tightly controlled ship on the part of the Prime Minister. But Javid took issue with this, and he resigned at the expense of his political career. Now, on the face of it, we're often expecting our managerial decisions to be rational and to be taken in a rational way, and utility maximising. Now, what utility maximising means is that it's this notion of homo economicus, the fact that humans are going to behave in a way that will maximise their utility, the benefit that they're going to get from a situation. Okay, they'll seek to maximise their income or maximise their pleasure. And so materially, this seems to have been a career-limiting, irrational decision on the part of the Chancellor. But when we think about this a little bit more, the decisions that are in our rational or our economic or are in our economic self-interest are often not the ones that we actually take, and particularly when they're in conflict with our personal value systems. The other factor is that legacy is also significant to us. So we may be behaving irrationally in the moment, but it's because we've got a longer view over how this series of events is going to be viewed in the midterm. And so it might drive us to undertake behaviour which on the face of it doesn't seem to be in our best self-interest. And I think that this applies in any situation where somebody reaches the point of no return within an organisation and decides that they have to leave. That's not often a rational decision in the short term. So that often deciding to go into a period of uncertainty, of risk, of financial unpredictability, particularly when they walk out of an organisation when they don't have something clear to go on to next. And yet when you're in that moment, it feels like you have no option. And the reason why it feels like you have no option is because the thing that you've reached the end of your tether about is your ability to tolerate your values being compromised. Okay, it's like, I am not going to put up with being spoken to like that anymore. I'm not going to put up with the way that that person behaves or the way that that group behaves anymore. I'm not going to put up with being ignored or being sidelined or being mocked. I'm just not going to tolerate it. Now, the paycheck may be big. The responsibility that you may still have may be big, but it just reaches a point where you kind of think, actually, for no money on earth am I willing to carry on tolerating this. I'm not willing to compromise myself, my integrity, my value system anymore. And so you take that decision to step off the cliff into the unknown. Now, where this is helpful is when you're helpful to understand is when you're a manager managing somebody whose engagement is slipping away, you may become lulled into a false sense of security that it's not going to be in that person's economic self-interest to just walk. And I suppose the point that I'm trying to get across today is that at the end, at the crunch point, may not matter. It may not matter how much money is on the table. It may not matter how much certainty somebody is walking away from. If the circumstances in which they're operating become intolerable to them, they are going to go. And that's not necessarily going to look like a rational decision on their part. Actually, in the long term, in their self-interests, it probably is. But essentially, if you think that the money is just going to keep somebody there, then I think that the evidence is to the contrary. Okay, that's my thoughts for today. I'm Gareth, and I will see you on the next video.